Nice to meet you.
Yes, you too. You're from Calgary, yes?
I am, and you're in Edmonton?
I am in Edmonton.
Are you
So
working from home?
I'm in the office. So like during the day, I work in HR, and we're back in the office about, I'd say I'm here 3 to 4 days a week, but I do have a hybrid model, which is nice. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely back in all the action and in the office and with everybody. So that's been fun to kind of see
Mhm.
everyone again and get caught up and have that social aspect back to work. So
Was it interesting to get back into the groove again, like getting dressed and leaving home? Those steps that we
yeah.
forgot.
Yeah, you know what's so interesting about just like this whole past 2 years is that even for me, and this applies to a bunch of areas of my life, is that like the currency of time
Yeah.
is very valuable. So even with like, whether it's stuff you're doing or whether it's getting ready in the morning or commuting to work, like that's time that, we kind of got through COVID because we were working from home. So that hour and a half, or however long it takes us to kind of get to our day,
Mhm.
we save. So that's definitely been a noticeable adjustment the past couple
Yeah.
months since we've been back in the office for sure.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
congrats, by the way, for being a super fan for the
Thank you.
CCMAs.
I am such a super fan. Like it's been a really exciting couple of weeks for me and my best friend. We've been actually trying to win that contest for like 4 years now.
Nice.
And we got a call last week, and they kind of sent us a Zoom invite, and they told us that we were the CCMA 2022 Ultimate Fan. So we were pretty pumped because, like, we were trying so hard, and it's such a good community to be part of. Are you a country music fan? Do you like country
Die
music?
hard.
That's fair. You know
Because
what?
that's
Yeah, there's so much talent, right? So it's at the end of the day, it's such a good community to be a
oh my
part of.
God. And the vibe. I mean, the
Ah,
people. Yeah, it's good,
yeah,
good
everyone's so
vibes.
nice. And like everyone's just so nice. And I think the cool thing is everyone just loves music, which is amazing. It's at concerts in Big Valley and some of the festivals that happened this year. It was the first time they've happened in 2 years just because of COVID, and that atmosphere and the love for music and just the camaraderie between artists and fans and all those things. It was such a cool thing to be a part of. There was such adrenaline, so it was
Oh,
awesome.
for sure. And there was what was there? Country Thunder that just happened here in
Yeah.
Calgary.
Did you go to that?
I didn't. I was out of town, but
Okay, yeah.
I heard it was a blast.
Oh, they had a really good everyone had a really good lineup this year. And that's a good thing about summer though, right? Festival season, and there's a bunch of live shows and festivals. So it's a great time of year to just celebrate music. And then we kind of get into award season now, which I'm excited because I've gone to the CCMAs as like I guess just an attendee, like just bought a ticket and
Right.
went, but I've never gone and been kind of involved in the behind the scenes stuff or some of the other events that go on. So I think it's gonna be a really cool experience. So I'm pretty pumped.
Sure. What is
Mhm.
an ultimate fan?
An ultimate fan, you know what? I mean, I think they define it as just somebody who loves country music, lives and breathes Canadian country music. And I think it's just, someone who really supports the Canadian country music
Mhm.
community. And for our entry, it was kind of funny because we were like, how do we show these people how much we love country music? So
Yeah.
we started off with like saying, okay, like what metric can we use? Can we use like a teaspoon? No, that's not big enough, right?
Yeah.
Or can we use like a measuring cup? No, that's not big enough. And then we ended up like running across a football field with a measuring tape. And we're like, that's not even big enough. So it's like we cannot measure how much we love country music and appreciate the artists and who are part of the community. And then we went on to show like, all of our pictures with different artists over the past couple of years and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's kind of fun making the entry too, right? We plan it out in advance and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's been fun.
When you are a ultimate fan, what do you get to do at the CCMAs?
You know what we get to do? And this is just what I know so far. I think,
Hmm.
there's a bunch of events we can go to, and so can other people, right? But I
For
think
sure.
the biggest thing is that there's a gala the night before the awards that is for the association and people part of the Canadian Country Music Association. So artists and industry, talent, and people that we get to go to, and that should be fun. But then I think we also get to co-present the Fans Choice Award. So right now, the general public has the opportunity to vote for their fans choice. So there's about 10 artists on that list, and you can go to the link and vote, and then we get to present that with a co-presenter. So that will be really
Oh
fun
my
too.
goodness, what an
Mhm.
opportunity.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. My best friend and I have been we're pretty excited. That's all we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks. So it's definitely
And your best friend's the one in the image with you? Yeah.
yeah, her
What's
name is
her name?
Willow. Willow.
Willow. Okay, shout out to Willow then.
Yes, shout out to
No,
Willow. So it'll be
that's
it'll be a great
awesome.
time.
It'll be my first time attending the
Will I see you
CCs.
there? I'll see you there.
You'll see me there.
Oh, cool. This is good timing then. You know what's so cool about it, honestly, Zach, is like there's such power in connection and like and just like mutual love for like
Mhm.
art, whether it's like music or anything, sports, whatever, right? But it's a really cool environment. I'm excited for you to kind of witness that and like it's you'll be there. So that's awesome. I'll see
This is
you.
my first time, and it's very exciting because if anyone that knows me, you get in my car, it's well, we have Country 105 here in Calgary,
Right, right.
so that's all that's blasting on the radio. If not,
Yeah,
it's country music. So
yeah. Good for
no, there's
you.
something soulful about it,
Yeah.
and it resonates, and it's
Hmm.
calming, it's peaceful, and
Hmm.
yeah, touches the heart, doesn't it?
It does. It's all those things. It's fun. It's all those things. Yeah, it's a great genre, and
Yeah.
it's kind of cool because like you get songs that are more like stories, and then you get songs that are honestly like kind of popular music too, right?
Mhm.
That's really just like upbeat, and I find that like each artist is so unique, and it's just the musicality of it is what I really enjoy. And I don't know if you are familiar with the Hunter Brothers, but I saw them recently at Big Valley, and they stand out a lot to me just because like they're such a musical family, right? And like you hear like the harmonies they do and like what they put behind their music, and it's so fun. Like I love it, and all of them are so talented, like all the artists. So I'm excited to meet them, and you will too. So that's great.
Yes, I will, and it'll be exciting.
I'll see you there. I'll be Zach, and then we'll meet up, and we'll be like, oh, I know you,
It's something I've never done, so people are gonna be like,
right?
I'm gonna be like, what the hell am I doing?
That's okay. You know what? Like 2022, it's all about new experiences and putting yourself out there and just building networks and
Mhm.
connections and just relationships with people. So,
Exactly. And you know what? I
yeah,
think through the pandemic, we've learned so much of that is connections, network, meaningful connections.
yeah.
That's another thing, right? Not just the hi, bye.
No,
Uh,
no, no, yeah.
yeah, like, how's your day going? How are you? Not just the one-sided conversation.
Yeah, I think that for me, and this is such a big thing, just even with because I'm a really relationship oriented person. It's also about intention too, and
Right.
intentful relationships. So be having them be meaningful and intentful with them. And I think it's really important because you're exactly right. You never know what's going to happen. And those are the things that you kind of that lots of people value and
Mhm.
relationships matter so much. So yeah,
We
totally.
hear those stories where, you know, that connection you had with someone and you leave them,
Hmm.
and something happens,
Hmm.
unfortunately. There's always that time where you're like, I wish I had said this.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So it's almost like live your life to the fullest. Keep that cup full. Yeah.
Half full, yeah. It's interesting too, because like even just with like me, like even whether it's anyone kind of following their passions and doing what they want to do, um, life has been such a with COVID and a bunch of other things, you're right. You get those reminders with people who maybe leave your life or whatever it may be. And I think you just have to live your life in a way where you're serving your passions and your happiness. And I know that's not always a consistent metric that you can use
Mhm.
because life does give you cards, of course, right? But I think at the end of the day, if you lay in bed at night and you're thinking about doing something, so for you, if it's podcasting, right? Like if you think about, what you're doing with Canadian podcast, or for me, it's like, what am I doing about singing and music and whatever. I think it's so important to do those things because that time currency is just not certain
Mhm.
and it's not guaranteed and you just never know how much of it you have, whether it's with people or with your passions or with yourself. So yeah, I totally agree with you. It's such an important thing to keep in mind, especially right now. So
In Alberta, are we seeing a rise in country music stars or artists just in general? And I always say stars because they're all stars.
right, right. So for me, this is such an interesting question
Yes.
because for me, I admire and look up to so many people around me, and I'm still kind of like I would say like I'm putting myself out there a lot more now than I have the past couple years, but I'm still very much like emerging, if that makes sense. Like I'm
For
still
sure. Yeah.
just putting myself out there, just pursuing my passion and getting to work with other people who share the same passion for music. But I would say that the talent in Alberta is phenomenal. And like there's people I see on my Instagram and there's people who I know are kind of, also in the same realm. And it's so fun to just have a group of people in a community that everyone just loves to sing and make music and sing together and do these things. So I would definitely say, yeah, like we're a province that is pretty strong on that front for sure.
I love it. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Mhm.
From Alberta, who's some of your favorite artists?
Oh my goodness. There's
You're
so
like,
many.
Zach, see, now
That's
you're
a big
putting
good
me on the
question. That's
spot.
the same question. Yeah, you know what? Like there's a lot. And I think for me, there's a, there's a lot of people that I actually think are, that I'm super
Mhm.
fond of, who are like not necessarily the artist singing the songs, but they're like the bass player, or they're the producer, or they're the music teacher, or they're like the person who owns a music school and who like provides us all with opportunities to perform, right? So I think, I think to answer that question, it's more of the community around itself, of people here who just love music and want to support each other through that process. Or it could be like a videographer, or
Mhm.
it could be my producer, his name is Jake, and he honestly, without him, he's been such a fun foundational pillar for me, just to even have confidence to start to like pursue my own music ventures, which is kind of an exciting project I'm working on right now.
Mhm.
But like it's the community and around, and different talents that are necessarily not what you see on Instagram all the time, but they're the people who work with us and who work with each other to make this product that is country music, which is so exciting because there's some talented people coming out of Alberta, right?
Yeah.
And I think the Canadian country music scene as a whole is like phenomenal. If you ask me who are my favorite artists, they're all Canadian country artists, right?
I
And
love
it's
it.
like, and even with the United
Mhm.
States, like there's so many good people from there as well. But we hold some weight for sure. So
Oh yeah.
it's a cool community to kind of see grow, right? Because it's still growing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How did you get started in the industry, and where did the love for country music come from for you?
Yeah, honestly, Zach, like it's such a, because I don't even know if I'm like, it's even for me to think about it. Like, am I started in the industry? Like, I don't know. Like, I think I'm still pretty emerging, but what I've been singing my whole life. And when I remember I was in grade 1, and like my music teacher would like come up to me and she's like, this is like, you need to be in music, like always be in music. And then I started taking lessons, vocal lessons and stuff when I was younger, and I've always kind of been in it. And it was only about, maybe I'd say 2018 was a really pivotal year for me, where I was like, I can't not do this, because you see people doing it and you're like, I want to do that too. And then you lay in bed at night and that's what you think about. So I'm now just in this place where I just want to make music, and make music with other people, and sing, and do my funny little snippets, and while I work on my own music. And so I think it's been a long, long, long journey, but a lot of that is tied to just being confident to pursue what you want to do, right? Because I think that's a whole other conversation. That's a really big piece for a lot of people, right?
That's one thing I noticed about you is the confidence, the I don't care what people say, the judgment. Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone will judge something. Hey, Zach, your mic could have been better, or you could have done this better, your lighting. Sure, it's all a step forward, but you got to start somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And
Totally.
putting yourself out there, was it over the past 2 years where you said, you know what? Yeah, we're all kind of normal. We're all human beings, instead of
Mhm.
remembering that, oh my God, that person on Instagram 2 years ago and before the pandemic, we were different people,
Yeah.
weren't we? And now it's like slowly coming out of our shells,
Yeah.
and some do it faster than others, and some don't do it, which is fine. But weren't you nervous though to get out there and at first?
Yeah, like, Zach, I'm still nervous. Like, I posted a snippet yesterday and I was like, oh,
I
like
love it.
I still get nervous, right? But like, I think so I made my music Instagram like maybe 2 years ago, two and
Right.
a half years ago, maybe. And in even like, you're 100% right, it's baby steps. And I think for me too, the biggest thing is like, I want to do something, I don't know how to do it. And for me, a
Mm,
really big thing is just ask the questions, like find out who knows and ask them, right? Like, how do I do this? Or how do I, what is recording music? Like, I'd never stepped into a studio seriously until last December 2021 was when I stepped into a studio, like in a more serious way.
right.
And I think yeah, I think it's just about saying, okay, like it's just a baby step. And like you're right, it's nothing's perfect. Like, this could have been better. Like,
For
this
sure.
could be better if I picked everything. I probably would never post anything. But I think that the constant posting is something that I struggle with, honestly, still on a weekly basis,
Mhm.
right? Because um it's really important to me to remain authentic, and like and for my personality to shine through what I'm doing. But at the same time, you see everyone else around you doing things and you're like, oh, like I really like that. Should I be doing something like that? And then it's a balance for sure.
Kind
For
of
me,
nerve-wracking.
I love videos. Yeah, you know, honestly, this is such a filming. I mean, some people like must like obviously like it, and that's totally fine. And it's not that I don't like it, but it's weird. It's every time you do it, it's like, oh, okay, like you know, it's you kind of have to just
Mhm.
do it because you just have to do it. Otherwise, you're never gonna do it.
You know what's weird is filming other people is easier than filming yourself, isn't it?
Oh yeah, totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm very blessed. I have very supportive friends and like I've in a lot of my snippets, like there's a few where they're just me, but like majority of them have other people in them. And it's just because it's fun and that's my friends and those are like the group of people who we have fun with and we just do it together and they
Mhm.
do it with me. But yeah, it's way I'm lucky. It's way better to have them want to participate because yeah, doing it by yourself is sometimes a little bit awkward or it's like,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, right? So
When you look at the fear of being out there and putting yourself out there,
mhm.
what do you do to say to yourself, I'm okay, whatever, it's out
Yeah.
in the universe, it's out on the social verse, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
and I'm okay with how people perceive me.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? That's a good question because I still I still have those moments, right? So
Of course.
and I think at the end of the day, it's like I lay in bed at night and then I think about music and I think about singing and I think about, you know, some of the projects I want to work on and what I want to do and how I want to like create a sense of community with my music. Like that's my goal. And if I this other piece is a piece of that though. And if I don't do that, the weight of not doing the main part and being to achieve what I want to achieve is like a pain in a way. It's like painful, right? Because you're not living your passions and stuff. So I'm like, you know what? I just have to just do it. You just got to do it. Right. And some days are better than others. Like some days, you know, I'm like, you know what, today's not a day where I'm in the mood to like film this. So sometimes I try and be really strategic that way and really go off of my vibe. But I'm generally a pretty glasses half full type of girl and like pretty outgoing. So I try really hard to just, you know, use my energy and direct it to my passion projects, which is what I do. But definitely a thing that happens. Like you gotta mentally be very like
Mhm.
I don't want to say on point, but you got to be mentally very strong in the sense of like you're doing what you're doing for you. I don't do it for anybody else.
Mhm.
I do it because it makes me happy. Um, because it fuels my internal passion for singing and music and that type of thing. And I think that's that lens is what allows me to just kind of get past the whole like I'm being judged thing because
Mhm.
I think, you know, you're gonna be judged no matter what you do, right? So
You know, it's funny when you say that. Creating this podcast and this platform, it's
mhm.
why did I do it? I loved storytelling. You know, as a
Yeah,
kid, when the teacher would tell us a story and we'd all sit there, it was one of my favorite times.
yeah,
So learning from people and just that curiosity in life and of human beings and what makes them tick, I think is
mhm.
just so cool, so fun. And you know, you realize that we're all the same.
Yeah.
You know, we're not when we see certain celebrities or sports stars, you know, everyone struggles, everyone's got their ups, everyone's got their downs, but
Mhm.
everyone's got this humanness to them that we oftentimes forget on social media, don't we?
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because, like, I agree with you. Everyone is, like, so different in their story. It's like everyone's path and their perspective is so valuable, and, like, it's such a and you must have a great job and thing going on where you can listen to different people's experiences and perspectives and thoughts, like, that's amazing. Like, that's so fun.
It's like, tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, like it's no, it's there's
Yeah.
definitely everyone has a lens and everyone's lens is valid, right? So from that perspective, I
Mhm.
think it's really cool for you to be doing what you're doing and putting yourself out there to just engage with others and want to talk to others because that's a gift in itself too, right? Lots of people um you know don't necessarily get the opportunity to hear people's stories, right? So the fact that you ask and willingly do so
Mhm.
is is amazing and probably very fulfilling.
And
Mhm.
in today's society, you know, we have social media where you can see a video or a highlight reel or a beautiful image of them, but you don't get to see who they are and
Yeah,
really feel them out. Is that
right.
true? Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And like I think that's a big thing for me is like, you know, and some of my snippets or whatever, like I'm like, hey, like I need to show who I am as a person because like that's the good thing about music is so many people can sing and so many people are so talented and there's so many people out there doing it and that's amazing. And I think it's like, how do you individualize yourself and make people see who
Mm.
you are as an artist, but as a person first and foremost. And I think that's really important. So yeah, I agree with you.
When you look at yourself 10 years from now,
Yeah.
where do you see yourself?
That, you know what I see myself doing? I see myself definitely just having like more of my music out there. I'm in that process now, and it's been such a fun process.
Mm.
And I still have a fair bit of work to do, and just continuing working on my music and my craft. But I see myself actually being really involved in the community, and I'm actually really passionate about like seniors care and seniors advocacy. So I actually want to be doing a lot of work there and bringing music to those types of communities as well, and interacting with just different populations. And I see myself just making music with other people and then delivering that to facilitate emotion and within people who are listening to it, right? Like I think that's important for me. Music is more of it's fun and it's engaging, but it's also an emotion, and it also is, messaging, and it's also powerful, right? So it's not just about because that's what I get from it. So I want others to get that from my music too, I guess, is the best way to answer that question.
It's funny when you brought up seniors. There's a thing about being with them and learning from them and understanding who they are, and then just giving them that time of day that often we forget. We say, "Oh, old people." All right.
Yeah, well, COVID, so I was really blessed. I had some very, very, very strong people in my family, and obviously they've passed and are no longer with us, but I was very blessed to have learned a lot from them, and I and also been exposed to. I've done some, before my current job I was working in nonprofit,
Hmm.
and there we did a lot of work with seniors and that type of thing, and I've been exposed to some of the realities of the challenges that that population faces. And not to get too much into it, but it can be very heartbreaking. And I think that
Hmm. Well,
um
what are the challenges that they face? Is it
well, I
being
mean,
alone,
I wouldn't want
loneliness?
to, I mean, I'm not a senior, so I don't want to speak directly to it, but I
Yeah.
think some of the things that I see, and there's a lot of people take advantage in different they can get taken advantage of in a lot of different ways. And I think actually Edmonton Musical Theater, I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they're a nonprofit musical theater organization, and we just had the Fringe in Edmonton. And the Fringe is like, it's like an arts festival, right, throughout the city. And they actually did a show based on seniors challenges and advocacy, and to show everybody, like, and it was a cast of seniors. So I thought it was a
Okay.
really admirable project, because what they did is they interviewed the cast about some of their challenges that they face in society with their families and with their everyday life, and then built a show around it. And it was such a touching show. When I watch it, I think I, like, you leave the show and you're like crying, because you're like, wow, like this is, perspective, right? So I think just but music is such a fun and joyful thing. And I, whether it's just singing at different, retirement homes or whatever it may be, like interacting, that type of thing. But I think there's a lot of room for conversation about it, right? If nothing else, like, it's, I don't want to sit here and say that I know the exact challenges, but I definitely have heard them and seen people who have about them, and that type of stuff. And I think for me, that's a place I want to spend a lot of my time in the next couple of years. But saying that, music can impact everybody, and I think there's value in trying to translate that to people and helping them feel part of that community. So
Yeah. I had a lady last year. She was an Order of Canada recipient, 92 years old.
wow.
92 or 94.
Yeah.
Um, Remarkable, just to sit down with someone and converse and hear about what life was like here in Alberta
Yeah.
and how things have evolved. These things you can never just read. You have to feel and you have to hear. And I think it's important to capture these moments and stories that won't be here for long. There's a
Yeah.
new world that we're heading into, of course, with technology and all these things, um, for the good and for the bad, depends on
Right.
the day
How
or the
you look at
moment.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. How you look at it. Totally.
But the way individuals lived and were able to move through life,
Mhm.
as simple as not so long ago, you only had a home line.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
right? I read a quote the other day and it said, we were now, or sorry, we're now slaves to our phones, although back in the day we were tied to a wire on a landline.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
isn't it true? Like we're stuck in always checking our phones, but back then physically there was a line, but
Yeah.
now it was pretty
Yeah.
cool to see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something about seniors and talking to them. Someone mentioned to me recently I should probably start talking to some of the veterans that don't have too many years left here in Canada.
Yeah.
I,
I worked at, when I was in high school, I worked at Rona or Lowe's
oh,
or
yes.
whatever you
Yeah.
wanna call it, as a cashier, and I ended up working there for like 8 years. I worked there a long time, and
Hmm.
there was somebody there really close to me. His name was Barry, and he was a veteran, and he had like, and he was a big mentor for me in my, going through university and high school, and just even just the perspective and the stories and the wisdom and the how he helped me through like just natural life situations, right? Being a teenage girl growing up and like going through all the things,
Of
right? So
course.
I think yeah, I think that's what I mean though. Everyone has a lens and perspective and value and a story, right? And I think, and obviously just being later on in life, there's more stories and more
Hmm.
perspective and more wisdom. So I think it's definitely a really powerful population to tap into and converse with, and because there's a lot of value there for sure. I
I don't
think.
like to make statements, but it's funny. I think people that love country music love depth.
Yeah.
Real
Yeah.
conversation, real, being
Yeah.
authentic. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean I yeah, intellectual conversation like is something that's really important to me, and I think it's important to talk about things that are, pillars of society, and because at the end of the day, like we're all living, our life, and we all have one life, and like I said, the timepiece currency is so valuable, and living each day with gratitude and waking up and saying, okay, like I am grateful for this, even though this is a challenge and whatever, is really important, because you just don't know what that time currency is like. And unfortunately, like there's been a lot of, I don't want to say rude awakenings, but I'll just say reminders about that. I think that
Hmm.
come out, at different times in life. You're like, oh wow, like things happen and whatever. So I think, pursuing things of meaning, going back to what we said before, it is important. It's so important. And that will fuel anything. It will fuel music, it will fuel art, it will fuel
Hmm.
conversation, it will fuel relationships. But with the basis of that pillar being meaning and intentfulness,
Hmm.
that's really important. And that's kind of how I try and live my life. But it's easy to forget that too, though, right? With everything
100%.
going on. So
Yeah. How do you define gratitude?
gratitude, oh, it's a good question. I think, I think gratitude is about not necessarily, I think it's about remembering the things that you have and being grateful for the things that you sometimes overlook, and
Hmm.
simple things. So whether, yeah, the roof over your head, all that stuff. But for me, it's about, I'm so grateful for everything that I would say that I would list off initially are um, tied to people and relationships that I have, and the people in my life, and that's what I think is the root of my gratitude, is really the people in my life and the relationships I have, and the ability for me to pursue and do what
Hmm.
do what I love, and work towards what I love, because everyone has a different situation as well. And so I think it's just about remembering that, you're you have a life, and if you're able to live it in a way that brings you, joy in different circumstances, is a really big blessing, right?
No, with the time currency piece, did you know this before the pandemic, or did you find the value and understanding of it and the meaning over the past 2 years?
Yeah, you know what, I think I've always, I've my life, I've had people leave, like, and unfortunately pass away quite at different stages. I think way before they were ready to, or should have passed, unfortunately. But so I've always had that as like time is not, endless, right? So, but the COVID didn't, like, that's just, in my opinion, highlighted it, because at the end of the day, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what could happen in the world in any way, shape, or
Hmm.
form. And I think being intentful with, the people you put, like how you spend your time coins, the people in which you invested too, and and how you live your day-to-day life, and habits you
Hmm.
kind of work towards, and the lifestyle you live is really big indicators to how you are able to be fulfilled in the ways in which you want to be, right? And
Right.
lots of people don't it's hard because you get so caught up in your day to day, right? And
100%.
for me, I wouldn't say my day to day is it's a priority. I always put effort into it, and I manage my routines and whatever, but I wouldn't say my day to day life is my focus, honestly. It's not my focus. It's the habits within that day to day routine that can help fuel and help me overall build my passions and get pillars and use my time
Mhm.
coins effectively, right? And of course, sometimes you just need to you fall into normal routine, whatever it
Right.
may be. But I think the concept of time just being not endless, it has definitely been highlighted for me personally through COVID for sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, totally.
The life used to be so quick.
Hmm.
Things were just go, go, go.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden, we were all forced to slow down. Um, Not to say it made us lazier, but did you feel like, oh, I got endless time in certain things? Oh,
Yeah,
like, do I need to fold all my clothes right now? Or I can do that tomorrow or next week. Meh, just me.
right. You know what, Zach, it's so funny. If you were to, my friends are like, Robyn, you're the busiest person I know. You're never home. And that's a true statement. But do I also like not place as much priority on certain things that are like folding like I fold my laundry, but do I do it like the minute it's dry? No. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's about managing. Like I think since COVID's, I felt the slowdown during COVID a bit, but now I actually feel quite busy. And I don't know if you feel this way too, but like now that, and I won't say COVID's over, but now that like life is kind of back to a place where things are allowed to occur and restrictions are a little bit
Hmm.
lessened, um, I'm so busy. Like every day of the week, it's like something, 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 which is a blessing. But also because of COVID, the energy level to be able to live at that pace has not just bounced back like this,
Yes,
right?
that's the thing
So
I'm facing is,
yes,
you can't, you don't have that same, I don't even think it's drive or ambition. I think the drive and ambition's still
yeah,
there. It's the energy. And then
yeah,
I think you're more tuned in now than ever before
yeah,
to realize, okay, that's enough. I need Zach time. Robin needs her time.
yeah.
Those are things that I think we didn't know our gauge on back then, but
Mhm.
now it's very evidently clear to say, calm down, everybody.
Mhm.
Have you noticed
Uh,
that?
oh, totally. And you know what's interesting? I'll give you some information just from so my day job. We I work in human resources and a lot of big disability management and that type of thing. And it's anticipated that the burnout levels, the peak of burnout from the past 2 years is actually going to hit in 2023. And that's kind of like something we're preparing for in our workplace and in our organization. We're 27,000, like I work in a big organization, and that's kind of what's anticipated is because people have been, because a lot of people just powered through COVID, right?
So give me an
And
example. I mean, for the listeners, what does that mean? So there's a burnout, a peak burnout. What does that mean?
I just like, because like, if you look at people who have like, a lot of people have taken time off work because they've been burnt out or whatever it may be, like we're anticipating that we're going to see the peak of burnout and the peak of people who are maybe taking time off of work to focus on their health and wellness, as a result of just whatever it may be, COVID and that type of thing. But burnout, it's anticipated in 2023.
And
And
then people will be back to normal again? Is that
I
what
don't think so. I don't think that's, I
you
don't think it's a back normal thing. I think it's a listen. People are going to be forced to manage and deal with their own mental health and well-being, and I think that comes in a lot of different languages for different people because
Mhm.
we're all different in how we regulate our emotions and our mental wellness and our well-being. But like, I don't know if your circles are like this, but I know in lots of my kind of conversations with just people in my life, like everyone's exhausted,
Yeah.
right? And I think and I don't know if it's just because pre-COVID times were so long ago, but um I don't really remember being this tired like prior to COVID. It's kind of like now we're all so tired. And I think, the focus of which turns back to gratitude, the focus of, making sure you're mentally and physically well to be able to be accountable for your own health and how you're operating in your life is really important.
Mhm.
It's really important because to be able to do things to fuel your cup and fill your cup and live the life you want to live and also be who you need to be for yourself, but for the people you love, you have to focus on your own individual health and well-being. And because so many people have just powered through COVID and just push and push and push, especially our service workers, a bunch of other people,
Mhm.
right? I think people maybe haven't been doing that. And it's important. It's so important, right? So I think that's going to be a big focus for people. It is for me right now, like just like, making sure that I'm focusing on my mental health and my physical health to be able to show up for me and my life and the people I love. But it's hard. It takes effort, right? You gotta be able to say no if you need to say no, and you gotta be able to advocate for what you need. And that's a hard thing. Like
Yeah.
it's a hard thing.
It's funny how we used to say yes, and
Mhm.
well, some had the strength to say no, and
Yeah.
now it's a necessity to say no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. When
You're
you
right, Jackie. Yeah.
It is. So you almost start burning yourself out for what?
Mhm. Well, and that's the thing. If you're at the end of your day and you can't put time, effort, and energy into the like, here's the thing, like if you don't have the energy to put into your passions or the people you love or what brings you fulfillment, whatever that is for the individual, I think reflection does need to happen. It's not like you can say quit your job. That's not it at all. But
Mhm.
like I think there just needs to be some sort of, at least at minimum, an awareness of, okay, like I'm not doing what I need to be doing, or I feel this way. Like acknowledge how you feel as an individual to be able to make little steps, like we're talking about before, to do whatever it is you need to be doing or want to be doing, or address what you need to address. Because again, the time currency, like you just don't know. And before you know it, like 5 years go by and you haven't done the thing you want to do, and then you lay awake at night saying, oh, I really wish I was doing a podcast, or I really wish I was singing, or I really wish I was like volunteering or working here or doing this or whatever. And I think that causes people a pain in itself and a sadness in itself. And if you can be aware enough of your own kind of aura to address when you're not doing things to help that, then I think you're at least aware enough to start to take the baby steps you would need to take to be fulfilled in those ways, right?
Not to be hoaxy or pokesy, but it's
Yeah.
aura and energy itself.
Yeah.
Feel that with other people and around yourself, how your energy's feeling oftentimes.
Oh yeah, I'm so intuitive to energies and people's energy around me, and like, and I think, and I'm aware of my own energy too. Like I try and operate on a very high energy, and then when I walk into a room and it's not that, I notice right away because I get hit with it, right? So it's not that it's hoaxy. Like I get what you're saying, but I think like, if anyone's an empath, they're really sensitive to people's energies and how they carry themselves and how they're feeling, you can feel that right away, right?
What's welcoming, what's not.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Reading a room, right? Like, and lots of times, like, even when my energy's down, people around me will notice, right? They'll be like, what's going on? Like, you're not yourself, or you're just whatever it may be. And but again, like surrounding yourself with people who are aware and know who you are is valuable too, because I think something else is that we all learned is not like, it's hard to be alone and just not have people around you and have those connections. And I think those connections are important. And that's why I place value in nourishing them, because they're important, right? Valuable, intentful, meaningful connections, of course. But
Robin, when you see someone else's energy that doesn't align with yours, or it's negative, and all those things that just feel like, oh, that's not a person or somebody I want to be around.
yeah,
Maybe it's not someone you have to be around, but it's someone that cut
right,
you off while
right.
driving, or
Yeah,
to the teller or something that you see.
yeah.
How do you, in a way, brush it off so it doesn't affect your mood, your day, your vibe?
Yeah, you know what? That's it used to. Like if
Yeah.
someone was like got mad at me or something, or if someone was really like rude to me or something like that, I would get impacted because I am an empath, and I would be like, oh my God, like I don't want anyone mad at me, all those
Mhm.
things. And yeah, it still might, depending on the situation, of course. But I think right now, like I'm so focused on being doing what I need to do to be what I need to be for myself and for the people around me, that like if and this is a hard place to be consistently, right? It's not a consistent level, like it's definitely a wave. But if something is impacting me, or an energy is impacting me or somebody or something, and it's not serving my purpose, my goal, my whatever, I first identify if I need to address it, because depending on what if it's the
Mhm.
person or whatever, like identify if I need to address it. And if I do, then I do. But if it's something that's just like, you know what, not worth the consequence of what it's doing to me and my level, then I try really hard to let it go. And of course, like, address things if you need to and you have to, because I think effective, like crucial conversations are imperative to living a meaningful life and having the relationships be how they need to be and productive. But sometimes some things are not in my opinion, some things are just not worth the conversation, or worth like your energy, I should say, right? So
Yeah.
it depends what it is and what it means to you, though,
Mhm.
right?
When you realize that, how did you find out that this is who you want to be moving forward in your life before we get going here?
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear about that. It's funny, I actually had a similar situation as my mom, but my grandfather passed away, and you know, he was a grandfather, so he was a little bit older, but he passed away years before his time. Like he passed away like years before I think he
Mhm.
needed to. And um I think for me, it's just, and I've also had a lot of people I went to high school with, unfortunately, like not pass away and other things. Um and you know, or you know, lots of people, you see it, you see all the time, like GoFundMe, like these people get diagnosed with horrible things, and you just have to be so grateful because you just don't know what card you're gonna get. And at the end of the day, like I think for me, managing and just living with the idea that my time is my most valuable currency, and I want to make sure it's meaningful and intentful, because if I were to get bad news tomorrow, I want to be okay with how I've lived my life. And honestly, a year ago, 2 years ago, I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have said I was okay with how I was living my day to day.
I'm with you on that,
You know
100%.
what I mean? Like, no, honestly. So, but like, let's,
You know, who thought those things? You know, I used
yeah,
to be a guy that was like out and about, partying and drinking and I don't know, living life
yeah.
carelessly. Like, you know, when they say YOLO, you only live once, I took it to that meaning where it wasn't a healthy place to be. You know?
Yeah, and like, I mean, and that's the goal, is that at the end of the day, like I just want to know that, like, if I were to get like, and if something, whatever, I just want to know that I can look at my life and be like, okay, I'm fulfilled and I've been who I want to be for the people. But that's also there's a level of service there. Like it's not about like just me, it's about, what am I doing for the people I care about? What am I doing for the causes I care about? What am I doing for like my community, because I value community. So that's like a piece of it as well. But no, I'm really sorry, and I understand. I do understand that, how that must, the different roller coaster that can come with losing someone so close to you.
For sure. Yeah.
We're that young, and I am sorry that you've gone through that.
No problem. Thank you for that. Yeah, you know, but you see silver linings in things, right? So
Yeah,
when the pandemic happened, people could not say bye to their loved ones. They were
yeah,
saying it
yeah,
on iPads
absolutely.
or whatever, and I was thinking, my goodness, I was able to stay at the hospital and say goodbye and all those things. So you got to be thankful, right? And
Yeah,
every day you got to find the things that you enjoy and just find inner peace. I think that's the bag in life is inner
yeah, yeah. I think that, and I personally believe that there has to be a level of joy too. Like I think,
100%.
fuel your. I don't know. My message, I guess, is fuel your passions, whatever it is, right? Because, and if you start to just engage with people who have similar passions, you'll be so happy, because like you just fuel them and you network. And then now I've talked to you, Zach, and like now we have we've had a
Yes.
really good conversation here, and I'm going to see you next week, right? So it's gonna, I don't know. Life is just so funny how it works, and
It
common
all
ground is a powerful thing.
it all works out, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally does.
Well, thanks so much for your time today, Robin. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you too. And I will definitely be coming to see you at the F-150 booth.